Welcome to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. In this podcast, there'll be insights around 3 key areas to mastering the game of life: purpose, prosperity, philanthropy. Your host, Paul Lowe, the third sector mentor, is the founder of Hearts Global CIC, which along with many other of his charitable commitments has been responsible for positively impacting thousands of people's lives, particularly young people from disadvantaged communities. Author of Mastering the Game of Life, From Pain to Purpose, and Speaking from Our Hearts books. Introducing your host, Paul Lowe.
Welcome listeners to this podcast, and this will start a new quick bite series around the acronym H.O.W. and H.O.W. standing for health or wealth. And I'm very pleased to say I've got with me today John Batterby, the trainer, Trainer John, as he's known in Spain, personal trainer, got a lot of experience in health-related matters. And so John's going to give us an insight today around a very important thing called reading food labels. So without further ado, it's over to John.
Hello there, Paul. As you said, today I'm going to talk about something that's in 99.9% of houses throughout the world, but very few people know how to read. And it's the food label, the dreaded food label. Reading a food label can seem daunting, especially at first, but after some practice, you'll be able to know exactly what to look for on the labels. And over time, you'll know what to expect before you even see the label itself. If you're just starting out about food labels, you don't know anything about food labels, it may take some time to analyse the information you're seeing, but after a while, you'll be able to make an educated decision as to whether this is something you should be including in your diet. Okay, what today's aim is just to teach you the basics about a food label. If you are at home or you're near a food cupboard, what I would say to you is go and get a packet or a tin or something from your cupboard, bring it out and have a read of it, because a picture paints 1,000 words. And the basic food label should be titled either nutritional facts or just food label. Okay, so if we start at the top of a food label, if you have one, the first thing it will say is serving size. This provides you with a quantity of how much equals one serving and how many servings are in a package. So all the information on the label is based on one serving. So all below it is based on one serving, but your packet could contain 2, 3, 4, even 5 servings. So that will have to be taken into account. Okay, so that will also help you and actually just realise how much you're consuming. So the next thing we'll come to, and it says amount per serving, are the calories. This gives a measure of how much energy you get from a serving of that food. Eating foods that are packed with nutrients without being too high in calories means it is a nutrient-dense food and a good choice. So the less calories, the more nutrients, the better the food. Okay, so we eat food to absorb the nutrients it provides, which makes it possible for our bodies to function on a daily basis. Not all nutrients are created equal, however. There are nutrients you will find listed in a nutritional facts label in order of appearance. So if we go to the next part of the label, it will come up with the fats, total fats. So the fat should not necessarily be avoided, but it is important to keep it in check. Fat provides essential fatty acids, which are not made by the body and help to control inflammation, blood clotting and brain development. Fat serves as the storage for extra calories. There are 3 types of fat. There is unsaturated fat, which is actually good for the heart and usually can be found in liquid form at room temperature. For example, olive oil. There's other types of fat as well, which is saturated fat and trans fats, which really is important to monitor very closely. Okay, saturated fat, the first one we mentioned, is usually found in meat and dairy products. While you're encouraged to consume some saturated fats, high levels have been known to cause heart disease, so once again be careful. Trans fats, which is usually the third one on the list of the fats on the nutrient label, it's the worst offender and should be avoided at all costs. Trans fats are man-made and have been linked to diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular diseases, and other still emerging health risks. There is no benefit to consuming trans fats whatsoever. So if you see on the label partially hydrogenated oil or an ingredients list that food contains trans fats, avoid at all costs. Even if in the trans fats the percentage of your daily value is 0, it's still there. Avoid if you can. So going further down the list, we then go on to cholesterol. Cholesterol is important in controlling your hormones, but too much cholesterol in the blood can damage arteries and cause cardiovascular disease. Next down the list, we have sodium. Sodium regulates blood pressure, blood volume in the body. Healthy adults should limit sodium intake to 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams per day, whilst those with high blood pressure should keep it on no more than 1,500 milligrams per day. So on your list, if you've got the packet in front of you, have a look how much it is in a serving. Okay, total carbohydrates. Carbohydrates actually do get a bad rap, but they're not all bad for you. Carbs are your body's number one source of energy. There are 2 types of carbs. There is processed carbs and whole grain carbs. Whole grains contain more fibre and nutrients and will regulate your blood sugar. Keeping your energy and appetite levels is important to keep them stable and make them a healthier choice. Processed carbs are burned up quickly, spike your blood sugar and leave you hungry soon after, making them a carb to avoid as much as possible. While the total carbohydrates won't tell you which can be found in your food, it will tell you how many grains there are per serving. To find out if your food contains whole grains, check the ingredient list, which is usually on the other side of the packet. If the first word in the list is whole, you are consuming whole grains. If the first ingredient says enriched or bleached, it is a processed carb, which will leave you hungry sooner and offers very little nutrition. Finally, what I'd like to do is go into the dietary fibre, going down the list. Fibre is indigestible, but helps the digestive process run smoothly. Food higher in fibre due to the inability to be digested also helps you stay fuller for longer. Sugar. There are 2 types of sugar. Natural sugars, which occur naturally in foods like fruit and dairy, and added sugars, ones that are added to food to change the taste. Overconsumption of sugar is linked to an increased risk of obesity, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. Okay, and also just be careful, limit yourself to 6 teaspoons or 150 calories per day. Protein, which is the next one on the list. Protein helps to facilitate muscle repair and growth. It is recommended that adults consume 8 grams of protein for every pound of body weight. Vitamin A, C, calcium and iron are on the list also. Simply put, these are vitamins and minerals and nutrients your body needs to run properly. Vitamins and minerals are found in the foods we eat, and some foods are more dense with vitamins and minerals than others. If you stick to that and look at the label through that, you will understand and you will get there eventually about understanding the labels.
Okay, John, that's great. It's certainly a good starting point, because I know, like, for example, when I don't know, say visit a garage and I'm on the move, so to speak, and I'll pick a sandwich up, a meal deal. The first thing I look for is whether there's a red against it or an amber or a green. But from what I'm hearing you saying, that's not telling a full picture.
No, it's not, no.
It's not telling a full picture at all. No. So what would be useful then, John, you've given us a very broad and a good overview of, the various bits and pieces of a food label. So, and in the ensuing weeks, it'd be good for us, I think, to dig down a bit deeper so that we know that next time we go and do shopping and we pick something up, exactly what it is we're doing and what we're putting into our bodies, really.
Yes, definitely. And if you look at the label on the right-hand side, it's all percentages as well, which is your daily value of the percentage of what you need per day. So that breaks it down. But I think out of all this, the initial talking of this label, it is important to remember that the list below is only 1 serving. A packet can contain 5-6 servings, which you would have to times by 5 or 6. So,
okay. So hopefully that's been useful. There's some value in there for keeping ourselves healthy, because I do believe, I'm sure that the best part of wealth is health. So until the next time, and when we do dig down a bit deeper with Trainer John on the food label scenario, keep healthy and keep wealthy. Take care and see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. Drop a line to paul@paulloharts.com with any thoughts or questions you may have. and he'll be more than happy to respond. Alternatively, check out Paul's website at paullohart.com or any of his social media feeds under the same name. Remember, mastering life starts by embracing our hearts.